What's up, you guys? Welcome to a new recording, a new episode of the Unscrambled Faith podcast. And I'm your host, Megan Clark. And I'm just so grateful and thankful that you are hanging out with me. Whether you are streaming it, listening to it, or if you happen to be capturing the full caption, full video experience, I'm just so excited that you're hanging out with me. I just got back this last weekend. I had a training event that I don't know if I want to call it a training event, maybe like a retreat weekend. There was training involved, but I would consider it a retreat. It was like a 1 day training experience, but it was so incredible. And I figured, you know what? Why not share a little bit about my experience? Because I feel like I can perfectly tie it in with this week's message and what's on my heart, and hopefully inspire you a little bit. But I hope you're having hopefully a good start to your day, good week, depending upon when you're listening to this. I'm currently recording, and it is actually the end of the week. It's a Friday, and I try to, normally I record, typically, if you've been listening to me for a little bit, I normally try to record like Monday, normally Tuesdays, like after therapy. But I'm going to go ahead and just say full transparency this week. My therapy session was a heavy hitter. And in fact, I was so grateful that one of my good friends contacted me. We talked the day before. She was like, look, I mean, obviously no one could even like determine what kind of therapy session I was going to have this week. But she was like, hey, we need to get together. Let's go out. Let's have some dinner. Yeah, I was like, immediately, yes, I will clear my schedule. So I told her, I was like, after therapy, let's go. So thankfully, she is one of my bestest of friends, because otherwise, I was feeling a little bit rough. I'm not going to lie. I was feeling a little bit rough. It was definitely a much needed therapy session, but it was very emotional. It was a heavy hitter one. And without going into any specifics, it was one of those sessions that I just wanted to go home, more or less get like a pint of ice cream, go home, get into my comfy PJs, snuggle with my cats, my dog, all the things, and just hang out and just veg out in my recliner. However, I had already made plans with one of my good friends, which thank goodness, because we went out afterwards, and yeah, so here we are. But like I said, this last weekend, I had a training event. It was, like I said, whatever we're going to call it, but I do it every year. I try to do it every year. I've been doing it, I think, for like the last, let me think, last 4 years, I want to say. The last 4 years I've been doing it. But it's a lot of fun. And, what's interesting is that this was going to be the first year out of the last 4 that I've done it that I did not plan on going. I didn't plan on going. My finances are a little bit tighter. For a while, it wasn't look like it was going to be in my budget. Money needed to go other places. You know how that goes, right? And it was definitely one of those things that at the time didn't really seem like it was a priority for me. And I was like, I think I'll be okay. I'll go next year. It is what it is. It's okay. The money's just too tight. Well, fortunately, I guess over like the last month or two, I've been picking up extra shifts through like other side jobs and different side gigs, and being able to pull in some like side money. And so thankfully it come in clutch, because then I was able to snag somebody's ticket that otherwise was not able to go. So I am a firm believer in anything and everything, that everything happens for a reason. Anybody who shows up to something is supposed to be there. But yeah, it was very interesting. In fact, one of the things that was weighing heavily in my heart was one of my friends that I have known for quite some time now. This individual was originally planning on going to the same thing this last week in the same place. And this specific person, I'm not gonna lie, it kind of broke my heart a little bit when I had this conversation with this person, because they were like, I have not been successful, or I haven't felt like I've, as their interpretation of their success, I haven't had much success, with my business, and, I'm not, life is lifing, things are going rough, and they were like, I just don't think it's a good idea, for me to be there. They were like, I'm not going to go not going to go there this last weekend. They were telling me they were not going to sign up, not going to participate. And they were like, things, are not looking great business-wise for them. And why otherwise would they go? And you know what was interesting for me is I couldn't help but think, like, that's the reason why you want to go. That's the reason why you want to go to something. And not because it's just business related, but to me, it's like, if you're listening to this podcast and you have an opportunity in your life, like in this year or next year, whatever the case may be, that if you have an opportunity where, whether somebody's inviting you to like a retreat weekend, whether it's like a weekend or a day trip, or, like in my case, this event was just one day only. But if there's an opportunity that presents itself in front of you to be able to uplift you, pour into your cup, inspire you, get you out of the house, like the minimum, get you out of the house, right? But more importantly, like lift you up, inspire you, maybe perhaps meet a new friend, all check, all of the above. Why would you not want to go to something like that? Yes, it's an investment. Yes, I fully understand that, especially considering, like I said before, I originally didn't even think that it was going to be in the cards for me. But whenever I started seeing that, I was like, okay, you know what? Financially, I can make this work. It was in our budget at the time, and I'm not regretting it. I'm absolutely glad that I went. It was definitely something that I needed, and I will say this is what I wanted to talk about, is because I had more than a handful of friends that were at this specific event, and every year that I've gone to something like this, it seems like that my overall like experience and the reason for going, but more importantly, like what I feel like my sole role is while I'm at this event, this one day event, it changes every single year. Just like I know that I've changed myself and progressed, and there's been growth after growth over the last couple years. It goes the same as my experience and my role that I've had every single year for the last 4 years at this training event. And what's interesting is, like, I remember, for example, like the first year, obviously it was brand new to me. I'd never been before, didn't know what to expect. So I was kind of a newbie, trying to get my feet wet. You know what I mean? Didn't know what to expect. Was going in with like an open mind, completely overwhelmed out the wazoo. Why? Because it's just like new people, right? And new information that's getting tossed at you, and you're learning all the things, and it's one day, so it's a lot that's packed into one day. But I'm just glad that I did go, because then I was able to say, okay, this is something that's local to me. I know they do it every single year. I know what to expect now. And I'm like, yeah, sign me up. Like, I remember thinking my first year going, that pretty much within like a couple, it wasn't even like a week, I think it was like a couple days, I was like, as soon as they find out next year's date, I'm immediately signing up. I don't even want to hesitate. And then I think that like the second year, it was more or less like, okay, I experienced this last year. I had somewhat of an idea what to expect. I figured that it more likely would be pretty close, somewhat, to like how it was the year before. But what was really cool is that, and then at that time, I had a lot of growth in my business, and a lot of growth in my personal life and for myself. And here I come in the second time around, and I'm a completely different person, right? And different mindset. And then it was cool because even though I didn't know hardly anybody the first year that I went, then I'm coming back the second year, and guess what? I knew people that were there. So that was even more exciting. And I felt a little bit more inclusive. So then fast forward last year. Last year was so different, y'all. Last year it was next level, very different, very cool experience for me, because I was then asked to present at what they have, like they called it like an expo table. So they were like, name a couple things, that you're passionate about, that you're good about. I personally love doing reels. I love doing things with like social media marketing, but specifically like reel content. And so I was like, you know what? That's what I want to train on. That's what I want to talk about. And I was just so, I'm not even gonna lie, I was like, it's so in awe of myself. Like, I was just so like, what? Like, what did you just say yes to? But I knew that last year was the start of doing things out of my comfort zone and doing things scared. Like, saying yes to things that I knew was going to, challenge me and stretch my mind. And I was just so excited about it. And then we had so much fun because I got to help others feel, there was inclusivity. I know I'm not saying that right, but you know what I'm saying. I just, it was great because then I was able to include others in creating this content for this specific event, and it was a lot of fun, and I had a really great time. And that was kind of like my key takeaway last year was, uh, more about giving back, like give more than I take. So then last year was a lot like, let me share and show you what I love and I'm passionate about, and let me introduce you what brings me joy. And that's where like the soul part, I feel like the one takeaway that I had last year was being able to take something that I love to do and that I'm passionate about and share my gifts and my talents with others. So that's where I was at last year. So this year, kind of almost like a full circle moment, because even though I was over the moon with knowing how many people were going to be there that I knew, which honestly, it's been a very long time since I could say that, that I'm showing up to this thing, to this event, and I know more, X amount of people, and that just felt so good. But aside from that, this year was, like I said, it wasn't different. It was like a full circle moment because this year, for one, keep in mind, like I didn't actually plan on going. I didn't plan on going. So this was something that I'd already made my mind up with. So then when I decided to go and attend, I really went in with an open mind, like a clean slate, open mind. I wasn't presenting obviously this year because I didn't originally plan on going. So whenever I did show up, I almost was like, you know what? I'm going to approach this day, this training day, this event, like I am a newbie all over again. And I want to approach it with an open mind, clean slate. But more importantly, what was just so I don't even know the word right now. I was just in awe, y'all. Is that I had a couple of friends that it was like their turn, like they had signed up to present and train at these expo tables and to share their gifts and their talents and what they're passionate about. And then not only that, but then I had a friend of mine, my soul sister. I call her my soul sister. She's my best is a best friend, my soul sister. She's my one and only soul sister. And, she had this profound breakthrough moment and it was beautiful. And I got to witness that. I just feel like I was just radiating with like, I felt like just such a proud being. And I just felt so blessed and honored to be able to be at this event, and just thinking once again, like I wasn't supposed to be here. I didn't plan on being here. And then God moved mountains, Spirit spoke to me, and it was like, show up and be there. And oh my goodness, am I glad that I was. Am I so glad that I showed up? Because had I not showed up, for one, I wouldn't have been able to stand in the success and applaud my good friends and my companions and my people that are like in my circle, my community, right? And being able to not only be proud of them, but see them shine, and for them to be able to connect with others. And just, again, I was just beaming with pride because it's like, I know that person. I know these people, and watch them do their thing and be good at it and just be so excited for them and be on the other side of things, right? Because last year I was with them. I was with some of them doing the training. It was a very different perspective versus being on the other side of things and being able to almost be like on the outside looking in. I wouldn't have had it any other way. Because to me, it's more important in our lives to be able to applaud other people's success. To me, being a true definition of a partner, of a friend, a companion, is to be able to lift others up. So when, like I'm in a good place, but maybe perhaps like obviously it wasn't my time to shine, right? It was my turn to applaud my friends and their success. There's a time and a place. Just like I know that those individuals are a blessing in my life, and I know that I can count on them likewise to applaud my success and to raise me up and to fill my cup up when I need it or I'm asking it from them. And I knew that it was my turn this last weekend to show up for them. Woo! But it was so special, you guys. And I'm just, like I said, it's just a godsend. I'm just so thankful to God. I'm just so thankful that everything came together. All the puzzle pieces fit into place for me to be able to be there. But here's the thing, it's like where I'm going with this and why I wanted to kind of like prep this story and walk y'all through like my experience and my emotions and kind of paint the picture, in other words, of like what was going on with me, where my mindset was, what, what was happening, what it looked like this last weekend for me, is I want to share with you the power of connection. And when you link up with others that either have something in common with you, or maybe you're on the same track as somebody, or you have like goals, like you have similar goals, a similar mindset, you're linking arms with them. Connection is so important. It's important to have people that are not only in your life that inspire you, but in return, you inspired them. It's so important. And it's, to me, there's nothing like it. And if you know what I'm talking about, it's just such a pure blessing to have individuals like that. It's a rarity and it's a blessing in itself, for sure, hands down. And so that kind of ties back to, what I was thinking about with like my other friend that, was like, she had mentioned like, I'm not going to go, I'm not going to go. I decided not to go this year. I was super bummed about it because when this individual shared with me, the reasons for not going, I was like, dang. And I almost, I almost regret not saying out loud to this person, being like, everything that you're telling me is all the more reason on why you should make this happen. Why you need to be there. And, like I said, I mean, repetitive, yes, but I'm still sad, and not just this person, but also whenever I was there this last weekend, I had two other friends of mine that I had no idea that they were going to be there. And once again, I was just so incredibly proud of them for showing up for themselves, showing up when the enemy was knocking at their door, pretty much bringing anything into their path, preventing them from coming up and showing up for themselves this weekend and doing something for themselves, right? Because think about the last time that you did something for yourself, whether, you had plans and you went out with friends, or you went out with your partner, or, maybe perhaps you were going out and treating yourself, or whatever the case may be, you're getting ready to go out of town, whatever it was. Think about the last time that you did something aside from like your everyday, like mundane, routine that you do, like, aside from work, all the things you usually do. Like, think about the last time that you wanted to do something for yourself, right? What happened? Think about like those steps leading up to getting to that specific place that you were going to be at. Most of the time, when the enemy knows that we've got something good in our court, when there's something good that's happening to us, that is going to happen to us, that we're, again, doing something that we're either excited about, proud about, we're treating ourselves, we're doing something out of the norm for ourselves. The enemy latches onto that. And then what happens? Hiccups start happening, right? Things start coming up. Things that are preventing you from leaving the house. Things that are causing you to run late. Things that are mentally then at that point popping into your mind of, I got to do before I leave the house. Or even you leave the house and you get in the car and then what happens? Oh, gas tanks. Light just came on. I need to go get gas. Or, oh, sitting in traffic. I can't believe I didn't leave earlier. Like all these little things, right? Or whatever the case may be, even if like let's say you're at home and you've got kids and you're trying to get out of the house and then your kids are there and then your spouse is staying home with your kids and you're getting ready to head out, or you got the babysitter, whoever's watching the kids, you're trying to get out, right? You're trying to get out and you're doing something for yourself and it's like, woo, the enemy's like, nope, not yet. You do something nice for yourself, trying to step out and better yourself? No, I don't think so. And that's when the things start getting hard, when the path before starts getting hard and difficult, woo, that's when you want to lean into it. That's when you want to persevere, push forward, put pressure on the path that's laying in front of you, the path that's presented in front of you. Put pressure on it, y'all, because what the enemy doesn't know is that you've got the body armor of God, that you have God on your side, that you have the power of positivity, that without a shadow of a doubt that you are not going to let anything stop you from going to like the next level for bettering yourself. And to me, those individuals that showed up over this last weekend, those are the ones that needed it the most. And it just goes right back to what I say over and over again. It doesn't matter what the circumstances are. It doesn't matter what my plans are at, where I'm at, whether I'm hosting something, whether I'm showing up with somebody else, to somebody else's place that is hosting something, whatever the case may be, whatever the event is. Whoever's there is supposed to be there for a reason. Whoever couldn't make it is just not supposed to be there. And I stand by that is firmly how it's supposed to be. If you have a gathering, if you have a get together, and let's just say you invited like 10 to 15 friends, and you're expecting 10 to 15 people to show up, and one person shows up. Yes, are you going to get your feelings hurt because you psyched yourself in thinking like, whoo, I'm going to have 10 to 15 people show up. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have a good time. I'm counting on all these people to show up for whatever reason. One person shows up, we get our feelings hurt. But what if that one person that shows up to your event, what if you're the one person that shows up to what you're planning on doing? And that is supposed to be the way that it's supposed to happen. Because what if there's a word that's supposed to be given to you, that's spoken on to you, that's only meant for you, right? There's a situation that's taken place, that there's a blessing coming your way. We just never know the circumstances, right? Like, I always believe in that, because, I try to, I've gotten into where I've started doing for example, like get-togethers at my house at least once a month, right? And I like a good theme. To know me, I love a good theme. And so I'll give you an example. So tomorrow I'm hosting friends at my house, and we're doing like this mystery book exchange, and I love to read, and I tend to keep books that I shouldn't be keeping around, and I just need to get rid of them. And so there's some I just don't want anymore. Like some I will never part with, and there's others where I'm like, you know what? You need a new home. Well, I invited my friends to come, whether it was like one-on-one, I posted through social media, and I was like, hey, let's get together. And I kid y'all not, like I typically am like a last minute kind of person. We are a childless, we don't have children, we have fur babies. And so hence why I'm like last minute, like I am a last minute person. However, I understand that not everybody's like that. So I started I know I'm getting off topic, but bear with me, y'all. Stay with me. So last month, I was like, you know what? I'm going to give everybody an advance notice. I'm going to let everybody know I'm at the head. I had 2 people that said they might be able to make it. I was like, cool. I'm going to write y'all's names down. Then I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it like a week before. So, we're going into this weekend. So it's literally tomorrow. So a week ago, I posted online, reached out to some other people, and I was like, hey, just as a reminder, didn't hear back from anybody else. Still 2 people that are coming this weekend. Now, like I said, any other time, anybody else could be like, oh, man, I wish more people would come. But you know what? Once again, I stand in the truth that I firmly believe that the individuals who show up tomorrow are supposed to be here for a reason. But it's the power of, it's tying back the power of connection. It's important for us to connect with others that we either have like common interest in, or our goals are aligning. I'm not necessarily saying that it's important to have friends that are the exact same person as you. You don't want to do that. Variety is a spice of life, right? It's all about variety. However, it's important to have somebody, even if it's just one person. One person is more than enough. Trust me, one person's more than enough. But somebody that has your back, somebody that's going to stand with you through the storms of life, somebody that's going to applaud you in your successes, and then vice versa. It's important to be connected, no matter what that looks like for us. But also, what's more important than being connected is building others up. So going back to my experience from this last weekend, is that I knew that even though I was there to learn something new, that I was coming at it with an open mind, a clean slate, I knew more importantly, because a lot of my other friends had decided to attend this event way before I did, that it was important for me to build them up and cheer them on and let them know how proud of them I was. I like to think that we don't tell those in our lives often enough how proud we are of them. And sometimes it could be that we mentally, we're like, wow, I'm really proud of my kid for doing that. Or, wow, my spouse is doing incredible things. I'm really proud of them for doing that. Or, oh, my best friend, I'm just so proud of the changes that they're making, where they're going in life. It's one thing to internally think about that towards that person. It's another when we're putting actions behind our words, right? It's the saying, it's actions speak louder than words. So sometimes we may trick ourselves in thinking, you know what, I think I have I feel like I have told that person recently, like, how proud I am of them. If you have to, if your mindset is going there, you can't tell that person enough how proud of them that you are. It's important for us to cheer others on in their success. It's more important for us to cheer others on in their success when we are at a season in our life where success has not been knocking on our door. When we have seasons in our life, when you are at a point in your life where either things feel stagnant, whether you feel stuck, whether you're like, okay, well, when am I going to get my breakthrough? Ooh, let me tell you, I'm here to tell you, that is the time that it is crucial for you to step up. It's crucial for you to step up and cheer others on. I've talked about it so many times before, is that there's something that stirs up within us that gets our souls, the fire's lit within our soul, right? Everything starts moving internally, and our spirit starts awakening. And why would we not want to make God the proudest that he could have possibly ever be of us, to be able to be watching over us and see that my child that I've created, this individual, this being that I created, this person, is cheering others on, is, that they are congratulating those even through a time that maybe they're just not feeling it. Because I can speak from personal experience. When I'm going through the thick of it, when I'm going through the hardest times in my life, I normally show up more for my friends in those seasons than I do when I have my own success. When everything's going great, when everything's going awesome. It's typically whenever I'm not feeling it, whenever I'm in a funk, whenever I'm in a bad mood. That's when I try to flip the script mentally, and I show up for others and I cheer them on. Because there's something that just kind of clicks mentally for me, that it's just almost like, it's like this light bulb that turns on, and it just starts doing like a work within me, a little bit at a time. It's a little bit at a time. It helps me get out of kind of like that funk, that mindset, that negative mindset. It's important for us to show up not only and cheer those on that are in our lives and our community, but it's more important to be consistent with how we're showing up for them as well. When we're showing up consistently with those that are alive in our lives, and not only cheering them on, but letting them know, like, hey, I'm here for you, a text away. It's not going to it's not always have to be like this deep and meaningful conversation. It could be as simple, and it can make such a huge impact by sending a text to somebody and just saying, hey, I just want to let you know I'm thinking about you today. Because we never know where somebody's mindset is, right? We never know on the receiving end of things what's going on in their day to day. Vice versa, right? Our friends, our people that are in our circle, so to speak, they don't always know what's going on with us in our lives. We might not necessarily be in a season in our life where we want to share everything that's going on in our lives. However, it's important to connect. Once again, right? It doesn't always necessarily have to be in person. Connection can happen in different ways. But overall, when we show up consistently with those in our lives, the story changes every time. Just like how I showed up for myself for 4 years to the same training event on the weekend, right? For 4 years, the story changed every single time that I showed up for myself or I showed up for others. It changes every time. And think about it, like, why would I not want to show up to this event every year? Because especially after being able to reflect back on the years past and be like, wow, this is what I got. This was my key takeaway from this year, like I shared earlier. And then thinking like, the difference of not only that, but then how I was, over the last couple of years, and how every time I show up is different. So why would you not want to participate and show up for something for yourself and show up for others when it's nothing but good can come from it? Hebrews chapter 10, verse 24 through 35. This is again in the, the New International Version. So again, it's Hebrews chapter 10, verse 24 through 25. And it says, and let us consider how we may spur one another on toward love and good deeds, not giving up meeting together, as some are in the habit of doing, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see today approaching. This passage, now I'm getting tongue-tied. This passage, y'all, captures specifically. So for one, think about it. Like, cheering others on. I was just talking about that earlier, right? Like how important it is for us to cheer others on in our lives. So the part of Hebrews chapter 10, verse 24 through 25, where it says, spur on one another on towards love and good deeds. That is what it means to cheer others on. That ties back to cheering others on. When we show up consistently for others, so not giving up, meeting together. Not giving up, meeting together. Showing up consistently, even when it's when it's hard for us. Showing up consistently. Being that person that someone can count on. And then again, tying it back, going full circle, y'all, with the power of connection and why it's important. So it's encouraging one another. Encouraging one another, no matter what that looks like for you, no matter who it is that you're talking to, but encouraging one another. This weekend that I had, this event, this experience that I had, reminded me of Hebrews chapter 10, verse 24 through 25. And every time we gather, every time I gather with this event, right? Or every time y'all gather, listen, whoever's listening, like every time you gather, whether it's maybe a training event for your workplace or a small group, whether it's a church group or a small group of friends, or maybe perhaps it's an annual conference, something that you're participating in, that's either work related, or maybe perhaps you're wanting to better yourself, like in your personal life or your spiritual, your fitness goals. God writes a new story every single time. Every single time that you show up for yourself and you show up for others, he's going to write a new story for you. Consistently showing up not only strengthens us, it's not only going to strengthen us along the way, because again, we're showing up through the hard. We're showing up for ourselves and we're showing up for others. But it also allows us to build others up in the meantime and be a part of something that's bigger than ourselves. All right, you guys. That's it. That's all I got for you. That's it. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with me. I'm excited because who's to know what we're going to talk about next time. But like I said, I had an incredible weekend this last weekend. I absolutely want to come on here and share it with y'all. I'm excited to just see honestly, the rest of this month, where it takes me. Let's put good vibes out there that there's cooler weather. Because this is quite possibly the longest summer we've had in quite some time. And I'm not really too excited about it. I know that's not the mindset to have, but I have been ready for fall, specifically for the cooler weather. And I just don't really want to wait until like January or February. So yeah, I'm just going to we're putting good vibes out for that. But in the meantime, if y'all like to comment below and let me know personally if there's anything that I can pray about for you, for others. Let me know if there's any kind of key takeaways, maybe something that spoke to you personally. And if not that, share this podcast with somebody, maybe somebody that came to mind personally, that God spoke on your heart, the name that he put on your heart while you were hanging out with me this week. But until next time, thanks so much for hanging out with me. And again, I'm your host, Megan Clark. And as always, don't forget to unscramble your faith and find clarity in the chaos.